Mommy's Kitchen with Marco TV. Mm-hmm. Are you a lover of roast? Whether it's roast chicken, roast beef, roast leg of lamb, or maybe you're low-key interested in something different, something maybe like corned beef, well then this is just for you. I'm going to show you how to make a simple 3-ingredient roast corned beef with some veggies on the side. So if you're interested, please continue to watch and you can try this simple recipe at home to make the most delicious protein for your family. Thank you so much for watching, and if you haven't already, please do subscribe to my YouTube channel. I've got my piece of corned beef into an oven tray. I've just drizzled some olive oil on the sides, not necessarily on top of the piece of meat, but if you'd like to do that, that's perfectly fine. So with this recipe, all you need are 3 ingredients. What are the 3 ingredients? Number 1, the piece of corned beef or the joint of the cut. You need Dijon mustard, and you need brown sugar, at least 3 to 4 tablespoons of each. Now what I've done before actually starting with this video is I've taken this piece of corned beef and put it into a pot of water. Fill the pot at least halfway of water, put it on a high heat stove and let it sit until the water boiled. Once the water boiled, I removed the piece of corned beef and I've put it into this tray. What is the purpose of us doing that? That step allows the corned beef to sweat out any excess fat that not necessarily is needed, so it makes it a bit more healthier. Let's basically understand what type of meat we're working with. Corned beef, not spoken of much in the culinary world or even in a normal household. Normally when it's time for holidays, we're putting in a leg of lamb, roast beef and so on. It's not so common that we use corned beef. Corned beef, if you have to smell a piece of raw meat, you will get that raw meat smell. When you smell corned beef, it smells already as if it has been seasoned. It has such a lovely smell. So corned beef basically is a piece of meat, a piece of beef that has been soaked in brine. What is brine? Brine is salt water. Sometimes people add some other herbs to that water so you can get some flavoring for your piece of meat. So this process of putting meat into salt water is called curing. So corned beef is cured meat. We use large grains of rock salt, and because the large grains look or resemble corn millie corns, that's how it's given the name corned beef. It doesn't have the flavor of corn, it doesn't get cooked with corn, there's no corn content in it. It's just merely because the large salt that we use to cure the meat in is a resemblance of corn, of sweet corn. Okay, so that's basically a little bit of a background about the meat that we are using. Normally with this piece of meat, you'd have it flat end like this and you'd have a big surface of fat. That's how you should set it into your tray, where the fat is on top. But on this piece of meat that I have, my fat is on the side, which is not much of a problem. We can still work with that. So the first thing we're going to do is add our Dijon mustard. Very simple recipe. You don't need much. So there, Dijon mustard. Okay, so we're going to get the Dijon mustard at least 3 to 4 tablespoons. We're going to do some massaging now. Okay, the Dijon mustard must be rubbed onto the surface and onto the sides of your corned beef. So we are massaging our chicken. So we're massaging our corned beef. Look at me thinking about chicken while I'm touching beef. That's actually a sin in the culinary world. I take it back. Forgive me. Okay, you want to get the sides covered as well. It's a messy job, but it doesn't have to be perfect in any sense as long as you have the flavor in there. Now let's say you bought a piece of corned beef and it came with a pre-packed mix. You can use that straight, or you can use the recipe that I'm showing you. Do not add both together, you're going to get a confusion of flavors. Okay, so that's your Dijon mustard. Just washing my hands very quickly. Already the smell is so lovely from the piece of corned meat together with the Dijon mustard. Okay, then we're taking 3 or 4 tablespoons of brown sugar, and we're going to just sprinkle on the top. That's 1 tablespoon, 2, 3. Try and get some also on the sides. You can with your hands, if you just want to do this as well. Take some of the sugar and just throw it onto the sides like that, so it can actually stick. Sort of like when you're putting sprinkles on a cake. Okay, after we've added our sugar, brown sugar, we're just going to pat it down very gently to ensure that it's going to stay onto the mustard. And even the sides, you have some sugar that has fallen on the side of the pan, you can just take it and ensure it's patted onto the sides as well of your piece of meat. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, kings and queens, drags and non-drags, this is it. Basically, this is going to be going into the oven at 180 degrees preheated already. That's going to be there for about 2 hours, but do not take for granted that it's going to be for 2 hours and you're not going to have to watch it between those 2 hours. Make sure you keep an eye on it to ensure that it does not burn, because not everyone's ovens are the same. 2 hours and then done. Now that we have our corned beef in the oven, remember it has to stay there for 2 hours, we're going to just get a little bit creative and do some type of veggies that are going to accompany the corned beef, which is our protein. So we have protein and veggies, which is a nice combination and a balance in a dish. So what we're going to be using is mushrooms. These are big brown mushrooms, a bit smaller than brine mushrooms. I have some nice fine beans here. You can use normal green beans, you can use even asparagus, which is excellent. And I have cherry tomatoes, baby tomatoes. So I got my stove on to a medium heat. I have a nice pan here. So I'm going to put just some olive oil at the bottom, and I'm going to place my mushrooms facing down for now. I can't put all of them in at the same time, so just 3 of those. Some of my fine beans, I think that's fine, and some tomatoes. Tomatoes. For the baby version, right? So that's what I'm doing in the pot. What I'm going to get on top is just a little bit of garlic butter. So we just throw that in the mix, wherever. These are types of vegetables, and technically tomatoes are a fruit. They are done very quickly, so you're not wasting much time. Okay, so I got that on. And I'm going to be using this in addition because I like garlic. There's some garlic flakes here to enhance the flavor. Okay, and on top of that, if you find it's getting a bit too dry, you can always just drizzle a little olive oil just to kiss the ingredients that are on your pan. And that's it for now. You can increase the temp and you let that get done. So once this is done, you can leave it in in here until you're ready to plate up, or just put it aside and warm it up just before serving, because remember we still got about 1.5 hours left until our corned beef is ready. So as easy as that. Just gonna flip my mushrooms over. Remember, mushrooms are cooked so fast, irrespective of their size. Okay guys, that's it.